Here we are in chapter 16, verse 4 of 2 Samuel, picking right back up again. Then said the king to Ziba, Behold, you are all that pertains unto Mephibosheth. And Ziba said, I humbly beseech you that I may find grace in your sight, my lord, O king. Notes: this man Ziba lies and schemes to effect a gain of property. All this, at this time of times, every man in Israel should have been crying to God for help. However, some would take advantage of the crisis as opportunity for personal gain. I am very much afraid that Ziba is not too much akin to so many in the modern church. Or he is too much akin to so many in the modern church. Boy, what a tongue twister that guy's name is. Ziba. Ooh. Verse 5. And when King David came to Bahurim, behold, thence came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimei, the son of Gera. He came forth and cursed still as he came. Notes: now the Holy Spirit uses the word king as it refers to David to portray the fact that even though many of the people were claiming that Absalom was now king, the Holy Spirit was saying otherwise. And this man, Shimei, well, he cursed David. The words given in this verse do not mean that this man was a near relative of Saul, but that he was a member of the tribe of Benjamin. Verse 6. And he cast stones at David and at all the servants of the king. And all the people and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left. And thus said Shimei when he cursed, come out, you bloody man, and you man of Belial. Notes: now remember that word Belial. He's basically saying that David is worthless. Verse 8. The Lord has returned upon you all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose stead you have reigned. And the Lord has delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom your son. And behold, you are taken in your mischief, because you are a bloody man. Notes: well, this man was not telling the truth. David had not shed any of the blood of this particular house, but in effect, Shimei was accusing David of being the murderer of Saul, and that was wholly untrue. However, David could not resent this because he was actually the guy who carried out the death sentence of Uriah. Verse 9. Then said Abishai the son of Zeruiah unto the king, Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over, I pray you, and take off his head. And the king said, What have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because the Lord has said unto him, Curse David. Who shall then say, Wherefore have you done so? Notes: well, David evidently suffered this as a part of the chastening of God for his sin with Bathsheba. His answer to Abishai expressed a deep and humble resignation of the course of providence. Insults such as this are very difficult to endure, but not for David, as he fully recognized himself as under the divine hand of chastening for his sin. For the balance of his life he was mindful of this cursing by Shimei, but he was determined never to avenge it in his lifetime. He left the matter to the wisdom of Solomon, with it being one of the last things he mentioned in his dying hour. That'd be in 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 8 through 11. Continuing. And David said to Abishai and to all his servants, Behold, my son, which came forth of my bowels, seeks my life. How much more now may this Benjaminite do it? Leave him alone and let him curse, for the Lord has bidden him. Notes: just my opinion, but evidently the Lord spoke this to David's heart. Just let me deal with this guy, in other words. Verse 12. It may be that the Lord will look on my affliction, and that the Lord will require me good for his cursing this day. Notes: he's throwing up his hands and saying, I should probably just accept this without recourse. Verse 13. And as David and his men went by the way, Shimei went along on the hillside over against him, and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him, and cast dust. Notes: he did this in front of all the people, and as would be overly obvious, This was a great insult to the king of Israel, and in fact one that could have gotten him killed. Verse 14. And the king and all the people who were with him came weary and refreshed themselves there. And Absalom and all the people of the men of Israel came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel with him. Notes. And he's tagging along, advising Absalom as to what he should do. Verse 16. And it came to pass, when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, was come unto Absalom, that Hushai said unto Absalom, God save the king, God save the king. And Absalom said to Hushai, Is this your kindness to your friend? Why went you not with your friend? Notes. Absalom was not a fool. He knew that Hushai was a very close friend of his father David. Verse 18. And Hushai said unto Absalom, No, but whom the Lord and this people and all the men of Israel choose, his will I be, and with him will I abide. Notes. While there had been general lamentation at David's departure in chapter 15, verse 23, yet the citizens had admitted Absalom without a struggle, and they submitted to him. Continuing. And again, whom should I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son? As I have served in your father's presence, so will I be in your presence. Notes. Now Hushai, as the record will bear out, was not telling the truth. While the cause was right, the method was wrong. God cannot sanction lying. But yet, the grace of God, as it has with all of us at one time or the other, overrode the wrong direction and brought it all out to a successful conclusion. However, he could have done so in a much better way had David looked to the Lord exclusively instead of praying and then trying to answer his own prayers. Just look at chapter 15, verse 31 through 37. You'll see what I'm talking about. Continuing. Then said Absalom to Ahithophel, Give counsel among you what we shall do. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Go in unto your father's concubines, which he has left to keep the house, and all Israel shall hear that you are abhorred of your father. Then shall the hands of all who are with you be strong. Note. This is really, really bad. This fulfilled what the Lord said would happen in chapter 12, verse 11. Ahithophel's counsel was despicable, even though the deed would not be regarded by any of the Israelites as incestuous. A king inherited his predecessor's harem, and Absalom's act was a coarse and rude assertion that David's right were at an end, and the crown, it was laid into his hands, even unto his wives. He's saying that now all of this belonged to him. So Ahithophel, for his own selfish purposes, led Absalom on to a crime which rendered a reconciliation with David rather impossible, and which pledged all the conspirators to carry out the matter to the bitter end. Nasty, nasty stuff. Verse 22. And they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house, and Absalom went in unto his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. Notes. It was when walking on this very roof that David had given way to guilty passion, and now it is the scene of his dishonor. Verse 23, very quickly. And the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired at the oracle of God. So was all the counsel of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. Notes. Now, as stated, Ahithophel was Bathsheba's grandfather. Why in the world did he do what he was doing? Why did he give such a hatred for David, who in fact had given him everything that he presently had? Considering that this man was perhaps the wisest man in Israel, he should have actually known better. To every great gift there is a drawback. Ahithophel obviously trusted his own wisdom instead of looking to the Lord for guidance. As wise as he was, he simply wasn't wise enough, and quite frankly, no man truly is. And we'll pick up in chapter 17, verse 1 of 2 Samuel. Thank you, and God bless.